Hello everyone. Today, I'll be guiding you through our Introduction to Twine tutorial. So, what is twine, other than a type of strong string? Twine is a tool for creating non-linear or branching interactive fiction and experimental text-based games. Branching means there isn't one singular storyline. Instead, there are different paths you can take and different endings you might encounter, depending on choices you make. The nice thing about Twine is that, while it uses small amounts of markup or little bits of code, you don't need to know any programming to create your first, or even 10th, Twine. Let's get into it. You can find the tool at twinery.org. It's absolutely free, and you can use Twine in your browser, so Firefox, Safari, Chrome, or you can download it to your computer. I've already downloaded it, so I'm going to switch over to that version. Here is our home screen. On the right-hand side, we have our option panel. To start our first Twine, we will press the green plus story, or just story, button. Call your story anything you want. I'm going to name mine Dark and Stormy Night, because this is just for the tutorial. Let's click the Add button. And voila! Here we have our grid screen. This is where your story will live. When we're writing books, we have pages, and in film and TV we have shots. But when we're creating twines, we have passages, which are basically web pages. To create a twine, we string passages together through links like a website. And the passages are where we write our content. As you can see, when we created our twine, it generated with a single passage entitled Untitled Passage. Let's double-click on this. We are now in the passage editor. This is where the magic happens. All of our writing and all of our markup will be written in the passage editor. So, let's write something. I called the twine Dark and Stormy Night, so I'll continue on with that reference. It is a dark and stormy night. Well, it's almost dark. More dusky, with the sun glowing behind the clouds at the horizon. So it's dark adjacent. And it's relatively stormy. There are no chunks of hail raining down, or booming claps of thunder, or bolts of lightning hurled from the heavens by irritable gods who missed breakfast. It's definitely not a hurricane or a tropical storm, goodness. There's not even wind to topple a plastic dollar store garden gnome, let alone your collection of sturdy stone fellows. But it is raining a bit. And dark-ish. And that's still unpleasant. Despite this unpleasantness, there is a real possibility that you'll need to leave the house. Your stomach is grumbling, and you need to run to the market because your refrigerator and cupboards are bare. Really bare. I mean, there's nothing in your kitchen but a sad old box of baking soda at the back of the fridge. Oops, got a bit carried away there. Anyway, this long-winded introduction lays out the scene and sets up your first choice. You do not have to write a lengthy introduction scene. Write whatever length you choose. But do make sure you give your reader/player some sensory details to help anchor them in this new world they're about to explore. Notice that the story is written in the second person. This means that the story is addressed to you, the player. Your stomach is growling. You have a collection of garden gnomes. You have a sad old box of baking soda in your fridge. While you can get interactive fiction that is written in the first or third person, writing in the second person is pretty typical of Twine's. So, we come to our first conundrum. Food or not to food? Shall we give the reader some actions to choose from? At the heart of it, that's what Twine's all about. What's a bit of rain? Ugh, you hate getting wet. You just order a pizza. The delivery service can do the rain. So, we have two choices. But if I try to click on them, nothing happens. Right now, they're just regular text. So we need to mark up our choices to tell the computer to make them links. In Twine, this is very simple. It's all about those square brackets. See how the color changed? Let's go back to our grid screen and see what happened. And don't worry, closing the passage editor will save your work. Look at that! Suddenly, we have 3 passages, not 1. And that's because assigning a link in one passage creates the new corresponding passage. The title of that passage is taken from the text you placed between the square brackets. So, let's play our Twine so far. As you can see, we have a tool set over here with a play button. Press that and boom! Our introductory page, including all of our text. And, yep, our 2 choices at the bottom. Let's click one. And a new page pops up. But there's nothing here. This is because we haven't written anything yet. We'll do that after. First, I want to show you a couple things on our introduction page. Let's go back. While the double square brackets thing is pretty easy to remember, you might not want to title the new passage the same as your flavor text. So you can also format your links like this. Opening double square bracket, writing about doing a thing. Then we have a vertical line, title of link, closing square bracket. Or we can also do opening square bracket, double square bracket, writing about doing another thing, arrow, title of other link, closing square brackets. These 2 examples pretty much do the same thing. So let's go into our new passages and continue our story. Or maybe we should say stories. Yep, we now have a branching story. There are already multiple ways you can read this Twine. Let's go to the motivated branch. It's called What's a Bit of Rain? And we'll type, you grab your yellow raincoat, hat, and matching wellies. Aren't you smart looking? Locking the door behind you, you venture forth, laughing in the face of puddles. At the bottom of this text, we could put up another set of choices. Or we could put up a link to continue the story. Let's do that. Double square bracket, tromp through the rain. Closing double square bracket. This will create a new passage as well. But let's go back to that other passage, the one where we just sit around and scarf pizza. Sometimes a branch of a Twine can go on for a long time, diverging or shifting from the main story. But sometimes we need to redirect it back to the main storyline. A story about sitting around could be interesting, but it probably won't be. So let's force the character to go outside. You ring up the pizza parlor. The owner answers the phone and says they no longer deliver to the likes of you. When you ask what your like is, he says your dog has been pooping in his prize petunia garden. You tell him you don't even have a dog. Bah, he rages out at you for denying man's best friend and bans you from his establishment. When you hang up, you look at your dog Rufus and shrug. It seems you'll both be going for a walk in the rain, with a short stop at a certain petunia garden. If you start typing after the vertical line, passage links should pop up. Click the appropriate one to send your reader to the passage outside. Let's get out of this passage and play through the pizza branch of the story. And there you have it. A short introduction to Twine. If you've downloaded Twine, your project is secure on your hard drive. But for those using browser-based versions of Twine, your Twines will save in your cache, but remember to archive your files. You don't need to do this every time you want to save, but if you clear your cache or your system crashes, you may lose your file. So be sure to archive and save the file after every session. That way you can always import that information file and continue your Twine. In the next tutorial, we'll look at setting variables, or maybe incorporating other media. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Bye everyone, and enjoy playing around with Twine.